Well, welcome back to Orchestra BioMed's a channel accelerating the delivery of medical innovations to patients through risk-reward sharing partnerships. And joining to discuss, we have David Hockman, as usual, the CEO and founder, joining us first and foremost. Welcome, sir.
Hey Kyle, how are you?
Living the dream, and always a pleasure to get you on. So, just diving into this, how do you think about creating shareholder value? I mean, kind of break down what investors should be paying attention to with Orchestra BioMed over the next 12 months.
Sure. Well, we've really focused the company and built the company around a partnership-enabled business model. So we want to impact patients and create significant shareholder value by doing that. What's important to it is we're responsible for bringing our partners. We have two phenomenal partners, Medtronic and Terumo, technology and clinical data. And our partners then take over from the pivotal trial data, and both our technologies are at pivotal trial stage. And they file for approval globally, starting with the FDA and the US market and similar agencies around the world, and then take over really everything that needs to happen to be able to bring those products to patients and physicians worldwide. So, for example, for our lead program, AVIM therapy, which we're partnering with Medtronic, they've actually already integrated the treatment as a download for the clinical trial, but they're building a commercial device that really is optimized for AVIM therapy. And when we get the data from the BACKBEAT trial, we'll hand off to Medtronic. They'll file actually is what's called a PMA supplement in the US. They'll get that approval for that device. And Medtronic's already the dominant market leader in pacing. And so the lead market, the beachhead market, is treating hypertension in patients that already need a pacemaker. Medtronic essentially sells one out of every two pacemakers worldwide, more than that in the US. And so they're going to manufacture the device, and then they'll handle all of the marketing, the sales, the clinical support, the distribution, and the long-term support of patients and physicians, while we make money through a very substantial royalty interest in the product. So fundamentally, Orchestra has been built to be very capital efficient. Our investors can see potential for very substantial revenue growth with very, very high profit margins since they're royalties, but the potential for that to turn into bottom line profits because our interests are very big in terms of those long-term commercial tails, but our need to then continue spending money to develop additional data can be reduced substantially. So we really looked at how do we build a business model that's optimized to get these impactful therapies to patients, to physicians, but to do so in a way where our shareholders can benefit from exceptional profitability, and do so hopefully very quickly on the other side of the clinical data we're now executing to get.
Appreciate the insight on that. And do you mind talking about the HTN, the hypertension market opportunity overview, along with AVIM therapy, and how these products differentiate from other products out on the market?
Sure. Well, hypertension is arguably the biggest medical problem in the world. Over 1.2 billion patients worldwide are believed to suffer from hypertension. In the United States, we're talking about one in every two adults, 120 million individuals. Hypertension contributes to broad cardiovascular risk, so it really drives artery disease. It causes heart attacks, strokes, and then particularly for older patients, it is working the heart harder and harder and driving those patients to heart failure. And so our therapy actually really focuses on those older patients. And older patients, really, they suffer from a form of hypertension better referred to as hypertensive heart disease, where hypertension is really contributing to that extra work on the heart, the deterioration of the overall cardiovascular system, and then high risk of those major heart attack or stroke events. So we're concentrating our effort and really built our therapy for those older patients. Why? Because it's delivered through a pacemaker. And so we've always thought about AVIM therapy as addressing an older comorbid higher risk patient population because that's the population that gets pacemakers. Our therapy can be integrated with that device, delivered by the same device the patients already need. There's already established reimbursement. There's a very established care pathway. And our partner, as I've mentioned, is the dominant leader. Medtronic invented the pacemaker. They've been at this for over 6 decades. They are the dominant leader with over half the market. They're bigger than all three of their competitors. So we've picked a partner that really can bring the therapy to market very quickly. So we're starting with that pacemaker population. There's 750,000 patients every year that get a pacemaker that have hypertension. They're higher risk. That's the beachhead that we're partnered with Medtronic. And half those patients, as I mentioned, are already getting a Medtronic device. We think there's a notable expansion opportunity. Once again, there's 1 billion patients worldwide. We're focused on several million that we think would be highly addressable. They would look demographically and from a clinical standpoint a lot like the pacemaker population, older, comorbid, higher risk. But now you would bring the device and make it available because you want to get them AVIM therapy. Our therapy has been shown to deliver double-digit reductions in ambulatory systolic blood pressure. It's helpful for the heart overall. And because of the data we have, because of the unmet need in the population we're talking about, we were really excited the FDA granted us a breakthrough device designation just a couple months ago in April in order to, they recognize by doing that, a broader population, actually it's much larger than the several million. It's almost 8 million patients in the US that they recognize are have that increased cardiovascular risk and still are at risk from hypertension. So we think we have a very clear focused market opportunity for AVIM, and really drugs and other therapies haven't been developed specifically for those older patients. So we have something that is novel, differentiated, it looks like it has a very exciting efficacy and safety profile. And the pivotal trial, the BACKBEAT study we're running now, is designed really to prove that and enable Medtronic really to go to market in that capital efficient manner that we've built our business to optimize.
That's incredible. And do you mind just diving into the coronary artery disease market opportunity? Give us an overview on that, along with Virtue SAB and how these products also differentiate from other products on the market.
Sure. Similarly, just like the pacemaker market for AVIM is an established market, but now we're addressing hypertension. The treatment of coronary artery disease is a large established market. This is really the number one killer, actually, the association of coronary artery disease, heart attack, and so on. This is the number one killer worldwide. So we're building our therapy to provide a solution to that physicians really want with optimized technology for an established market. In the coronary side, there are key indications where we actually also have FDA breakthrough device designation, where existing technology isn't viewed to necessarily serve patients ideally. So patients that have been previously treated with a stent, they now get their artery is reblocked around that same lesion. They have what's called in-stent restenosis. That's a lead indication, high unmet need patients. Patients that have smaller vessels that are diseased and now need a better solution. So the market is now turning to drug-coated balloons using a drug called paclitaxel that was proven inferior when you looked at permanent implants, drug-eluting stents, and really disappeared from the market, but it's coming back because it's simply easier to use this inferior drug to coat a balloon. The idea of using a balloon with drug is to be able to treat the vessel and leave nothing behind, all right, treat it with drug therapy. But really, the idea of a paclitaxel-coated balloon, which is now approved on the US, Boston Scientific got their AGENT paclitaxel-coated balloon approved in 2024 and got very substantial add-on reimbursement and are now commercializing. But that product was designed because it's simply easier to do, not because the drug is better. So with Virtue SAB, or sirolimus angioinfusion balloon, we purpose-built and designed what we thought would be an optimal drug-eluting balloon that takes sirolimus. It's the proven gold standard drug. It's been used for over 20 years in stents. It, in 26 randomized controlled trials, showed to be superior to paclitaxel in terms of both efficacy and safety. But it requires the drug, in order for the drug to work, it has a more subtle mechanism, and that's one of the benefits, but it needs to be there in the artery at a minimum dose concentration for at least 30 days to do its job. A stent, which is a permanent implant, became an ideal way to deliver the drug, but the stent, the permanent implant, has some challenges. So now we're trying to treat with a balloon for a minute, 2 minutes, take the balloon out, leave drug behind. This paclitaxel has come back and it's been approved. Our solution has been to encapsulate sirolimus, optimize it to be able to get into tissue, have that long elution profile. We've actually shown data where we can get as much as 10-fold drug for over 30 days compared to a stent. So we really improve on stent drug delivery, but we do that with the gold standard drug. So we've shown great clinical results in the coronary space. that really reflect that optimized technology. And for a large established market, we think our product is going to be built to potentially be the most attractive solution for physicians. Our next step here is to demonstrate that in a powered pivotal study that we're going to start in the second half of this year. We'll actually compare Virtue to Boston Scientific's AGENT paclitaxel balloon. Our approval pathway is showing statistical non-inferiority, so we think a low bar, but the study actually gives us a good chance to showcase what we've built to be a better product against a product that we think is, while approved, the data has been a little disappointing, particularly when you look at the 2-year data that came out this year. So we've got an optimal product for something we know works if we can get the drug to perform the way that we think we've shown that we can perform. And so established market, better product, and really poised to take advantage of the business model through our partnership there as well.
On that note, we'll pass it off to the viewers as always. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section. Consider subscribing for news catalysts as it comes down the wire like this. Of course, we'll bring it to you here. But on that, as always, we look forward to catching you in the next one.